What is going on, guys? Johnny and Will here for a new series on the channel. So we call it The Weigh-In. And this is not going to be like the weekend review or anything. This is going to be more so based on topics that's coming along day by day. And the biggest topic we're going to start off with today is Eric Bischoff no longer working with World Wrestling Entertainment and our thoughts on that. Of course, being replaced by Bruce Pritchard, which is one of the biggest rivals back in the Attitude Era. And also backstage in Friday Night SmackDown in today's time as well, before he was even announced as the main executive producer of Friday Night SmackDown, just like Eric Bischoff was. From what I've been told about Bruce Pritchard and taking this position, Eric Bischoff never really did anything in the first place. He literally stayed backstage, and a lot of people would say he would show up, no one would hear from him. He kept to himself quite a bit, and he just didn't do a lot of things. And back in, we talk about with Eric Bischoff and everything, all the scripts that he would show Vince McMahon before Friday Night SmackDown would start, he would rip them up, and he wouldn't even go with what Eric Bischoff wrote out for the script wise on the start of the show. So honestly, Bruce Pritchard's been doing it the whole time. It's just now he has an official title to his name. That's literally all it is.
So the whole time he's really been doing all the work on it, and now he's finally gotten the title.
Well, see, you mentioned the other day about how SmackDown's ratings has gone down by over 1 million viewers within the first week it aired on Fox for the first time.
They said it right now that the ratings had dropped the past 2 weeks of Fox producing the WWE, that it was that it had dropped tremendously.
Well, see, the thing about it is, you got Eric Bischoff, and he automatically was kind of like an scapegoat with the company, because if something were to go wrong, we knew he was going to lose his job. Same thing with Paul Heyman. I don't want Paul Heyman to lose his job as executive producer of Monday Night Raw, but then again, with Eric Bischoff, with him not doing anything anyway, and then also reports of the superstars having low morale backstage, which is everything at this point. When you have low morale with the audience and everything, with the fan base, it kind of impacts the whole show, and that's what they were seeing with Eric Bischoff and how he was running things, and I think that's why they did action to go ahead and take him out.
Yeah, it was like he was basically just sitting on the sidelines waiting for everybody else to cover his ass, more than likely. I
agree. And see, like, the thing about it is, with Friday Night SmackDown being on Fox now and everything, I'm pretty sure Fox had a lot to do with it as well, because they saw the viewers that were dropping, and they needed someone to just kind of blame for the I guess you could say the ratings going down. So Eric Bischoff was automatically kind of stamped with that.
Yeah.
But the bad thing about it is the man moved his whole family to Connecticut. He uprooted where he was at. I think it was like Wyoming or somewhere. He was in a ranch somewhere, and he really uprooted his whole entire family that lives with him, of course, his wife and the kids and everything, and moved them down to Connecticut, which is where the World Wrestling Entertainment headquarters is located at, just so he could be closer to the headquarters.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but then again, if you never did anything anyway, I don't see why it would have come as a shock.
The way I look at things and stuff a lot of the time is, if you've got a position or a job, whatever, and you just sit back and you wait for everybody else to do it for you, and you're not going to do it, you might as well get somebody that will, because there's going to be somebody out there that will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're not going to do your job, then hey, it's time to replace it. It's time to, if you're just slacking off and everything else, and you just come in with something like a rare occasion, then you're going ahead and you just get swept out from under you, because it happens all the time.
Right. And with Bruce Pritchard, he was, of course, a big role in the Attitude Era and the angles and everything with those storylines. And a lot of people was going on a rampage about this whole topic and saying that the only reason why Bruce Pritchard is now executive producer of Friday Night SmackDown is to do what Vince McMahon tells him to do. From what I've been gathering, he's been doing it the entire time. So what's changed?
I know it's just now it's more...
he's got a bigger role on his hands, no doubt. But then again, why would you take someone in that perspective of what a big deal it is to be executive producer of a show and everything like that? But why take that in the perspective of, well, it's different now just because he has the title? He's been doing it behind the scenes since Eric Bischoff came on day one. and now Bruce Pritchard's in that picture, it's like a bigger deal because of how they actually have everything laid out. Because, Fox is automatically going to go after them anyway because the ratings are down. And
yeah.
The way I see it, though, if Bruce Pritchard wants to be involved in writing the storylines and everything, at least get good content going. I mean, I know you got to go through Vince McMahon about everything, but then again, Vince is open to ideas anyway. So I don't see it being a big deal that Eric Bischoff's no longer in that role.
The way that they're talking right now, so honestly, they're talking about the ratings have already dropped so low.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how could it get any worse than what it already has, by whatever, the way they're putting it?
Well, I mean, the ratings are everything, but then again, you have to understand about the concept of actually running a show and legitimately starting to create a bigger fan base. What the thing is they expected when Fox Sports took over SmackDown that we were going to have a boom moment where just a bunch of viewers were going to come out of nowhere, start watching the show, start enjoying the show, people that's never even seen the product before.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. And I feel like Fox is upset because instead of them making some of their money back that they spent on the name of Friday Night SmackDown and joining contracts with WWE World Wrestling Entertainment and actually putting on shows on Fox Sports and Fox Network and everything like that, they're not seeing any of that return come back. So I can see the way that Bruce Pritchard was brought into the role, but then again, I can also see why Eric Bischoff was creating low morale backstage anyway with all the superstars. Because the biggest thing is you're working 365 days a year or a week. You know what I mean? Yeah. 365 days a week. You're working every single year, moving down into the line, putting on a show in front of thousands of people you've never met before in your life. You have to have good morale backstage.
You've got to stay on the game like 24/7.
If you have a manager or if you have someone who's running the show behind the scenes, an executive producer will be in this instance, if you don't have that ability to capture that moment and to get those superstars up and ready for their next superstar performance or whatever they're doing in the company,
you're not going to last.
You're not going to last. So Eric Bischoff leaving or being fired, not even leaving, just being fired in general, I don't think it's a bad decision on management's part, on the CEO holder part, Vince McMahon. I'm pretty sure Triple H had to talk about it and all them. That's the biggest thing is where we look forward now is Bruce Pritchard writing some of the storylines and being the executive producer of Friday Night SmackDown. He's going to have a big role ahead because now actually he has the title on his name. You know what I mean?
I mean, like you were saying earlier, stuff, it don't really make much sense. People getting pissed off because of when he used to do it anyway behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But now it's more out in the open.
It's more known that he's been doing it.
I guess that's why people,
Yeah.
But like you said, what's the difference? He was doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's actually got the title to where he can actually do, what he's been doing. So.
Well, see, it's just like it's a point in time we're in right now that automatically when something goes wrong within the company, you blame Vince or you blame the writers, you blame somebody behind the scenes. The reality of it is we're in a whole different time in wrestling.
Yeah.
We're in the social media era. If you do anything that the fans don't like, it's on social media, it's broadcasted out there, they're going to put their opinions in, which they're entitled to their opinions, but a lot of the opinions just don't make any sense.
You cannot satisfy everybody.
No.
If you try, you're going to fail because it's not going to happen. There's always going to be, like I said, if you go back and you look at different matches and stuff, if it would have went the way they wanted to go, it would have pissed off the other side.
Right.
Or it would have made the other people mad and stuff if it went the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, either way you look at it and stuff, we got a lot of bandwagon people out there that are just riding it on to the ride.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the problem. We don't have any more dedicated WWE fans of classic wrestling that used to be all about, for the good, the bad, everything. Now it's just for the moment.
And see, also people are saying that, because it's Vince's fault because Eric Bischoff's no longer with the company. Look what he did with Monday Night Raw. You got to understand something about when he was with Monday Night Raw. That was an on-screen presence. That was nothing behind the scenes like he was actually involved with this time around with Friday Night SmackDown. When he was general manager of Monday Night Raw, it was an on-screen general manager role.
Yeah.
He didn't have any say on what was going on with the storylines. He had no control over that whatsoever. He was given a script just like all the superstars were given a script. He was sent out to be a manager, and that's what he played as a manager. That was all that was. So he had no, I guess you could say, creativity when it came to back in the Ruthless Aggression era, even when he was a general manager of Monday Night Raw, because he was not involved in that role backstage like he was this time.
Yeah.
But see, people still keep going back to him being general manager of Monday Night Raw. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense because it's like you don't understand the difference between an on-screen appearance or on-screen role versus an actual backstage presence running things and controlling the company within a creative standpoint. Which, the creative standpoint of World Wrestling Entertainment, that's everything now. Because without creativity or without storylines being written by these high executives, what are we there to talk about? There would be no promos written. There would be no scripts sent out to the superstars when the show starts. None of that would happen. So I think Bruce Pritchard's going to do a good job as executive producer. It's unfortunate for what happened with Eric Bischoff. Of course, moving his whole family to Connecticut and now having to find another job. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
the only thing we can do right now is just sit back and...
On a backstage role, I think Bruce Pritchard being in that position now, I think that's going to be a lot better off to have, happen.
Yeah.
In that sense. Another thing we need to talk about is Seth Rollins facing the Fiend once again at Crown Jewel and the backlash that they got from that.
I see that right there. Every minute is popping up.
Yeah.
On Facebook or on YouTube or anything. Seth Rollins versus the Fiend, and then they're talking about him going for the title again and all that. Like, God, I agree to try to correct the wrong that they've done at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking at right now. That's the way that they're trying to hit this, but the way they're going about it is just not. It's not right.
Yeah.
And it's just the way they're going about it is. They're trying to rewrite the wrong, I reckon, because of what happened. Everybody got pissed off at Hell in a Cell, so they want to see it again. But the thing is about it, that's going to more than likely pour fuel on the fire. Because if it turns out the same way it did then, and the Fiend ends up losing again, except this time, or if he ends up beating him, either way you look at it, nobody's going to be satisfied, truly. Well,
let me just tell you what I think about the situation, because we know that this is at Crown Jewel. We know this is Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia has signed a contract with World Wrestling Entertainment, of course, to put on these shows like Crown Jewel, like Super Showdown, like all the other ones that's been hosted in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They throw money at WWE, and they tell them what they want to see. They tell them exactly what they want to see. They tell them what they want to have happen. And if you don't believe that the dictating when it comes to Saudi Arabia on WWE, go look at the list of superstars that are not allowed to even perform in Saudi Arabia. People like Sami Zayn because of his Syrian descent. People like Aleister Black because of his tattoos. The women cannot perform in Saudi Arabia. So they have a leash on what they want to see. They're very restrictive. This is what I want everyone to understand that's listening. Saudi Arabia wants this match to happen. We've seen Seth Rollins and The Fiend face each other at Hell in a Cell. We've seen the on-screen matchup. What people don't realize, and you can go on YouTube right now after you watch this and you can look up videos, look up The Fiend versus Seth Rollins dark match. They are running this match at house shows constantly because everyone wants to see The Fiend. You know what happens at almost all those house shows? The Fiend loses. The Fiend loses. He does. He no-sells the stomps like he did at Hell in a Cell, but 9 times out of 10, I think there was one time the Fiend actually beat Seth Rollins on a house show, but the majority of the time on a house show, Seth Rollins beats the Fiend. Yep. I'm going to tell you right now, I hate to break it to you, Seth Rollins is going to win this match. Yep. You have the Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw. The Fiend is now on SmackDown, so for a business standpoint and a brand standpoint, it wouldn't make sense for Seth Rollins to lose because then that means the title would be going to SmackDown along with the WWE Championship. You would have no title on Monday Night Raw.
I mean, if you like you just said, the Universal title's supposed to be on Raw. He's going back to SmackDown. So
exactly.
You would have to be Stevie Wonder not to see this coming.
Yeah, it's
common sense at this point and stuff. You know what's going to happen without even telling it, because it's not going to make much sense to take a Raw title onto SmackDown.
Yep.
It's just not. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but
I mean, the way I see it, you're going to have this match. You're going to have it build up. I mean, Crown Jewel's not even part of the storylines. And if you want me to get completely real with you, we see all the storylines building up into Crown Jewel, but 4 or 5 months after Crown Jewel's done with, none of the storylines are going to matter. Nothing that's happened at Crown Jewel matters that much after the show's over with. It's merely there to build up for the Saudi Arabia Kingdom, for them to go perform, for them to do the matches that they want to see them perform, and go home. And that's all it is. It's about the money that they're getting paid from Saudi Arabia to put on this show every single month, every few months, every year or something like that. This is what it's all about. It's not about the storylines. So Seth Rollins and The Fiend, I saw it coming. And, you know, now they're saying that Seth Rollins is no longer going to be involved with the Hulk Hogan versus Team Flair.
Yeah.
Because they would not want him to wrestle 2 matches in one night, which makes complete sense to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that people really need to understand about Saudi Arabia and Crown Jewel itself is what we want to see as fans is kind of irrelevant when you have a show like this. Because we mentioned last time in the weekend review, Saudi Arabia is like a big house show. It's on a WrestleMania type level, but it's a glamorized big house show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was about to
It's televised, but it's a house show. So you're going to be seeing a lot of matches that you would see maybe at a small scale house show. Exactly, like a live event.
Not broadcasted.
But with, you know, Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury and, you know, Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar, that's bringing it a little bit up into the WrestleMania caliber type event, which is fine because, I mean, I think that makes sense anyway. That's the thing, though. Like, when we talk about everything we talk about on this channel, it gets to the point where wrestling fans are the hardest people to please when it comes to any of the situations that's going on backstage, in the ring, promotions, you know, new events coming up like Crown Jewel with the whole Saudi Arabia and wanting to see what they want to see. When you look at the aspect of what's going on in World Wrestling Entertainment, what's going on with the fans not liking the product, it doesn't come back to WWE. It comes back with a lot of the contracts they're involved with.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people they actually have to please to keep those contracts. Yes, Seth Rollins and The Fiend, we do not want to see it again, and we damn sure don't want to see it for the Universal Championship. But, given the circumstances, and they want this match, you know, by God, they're going to get this match.
You honestly think they're going to sit and listen to somebody that's not even... I mean, we pay for the WWE Network and everything else, but them people over there are throwing millions and millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars for them to go to Saudi Arabia and perform.
I mean, they're getting their money's worth. They're going to get they're going to satisfy them more than they're worried about. They're more worried about Saudi Arabia's opinions more than they are ours at this point.
At this point in time,
and I don't
absolutely.
blame them, honestly. I don't. If somebody's sitting there throwing you millions of dollars to see this match happen, and this way, you know, all for it. I mean, anybody in their right mind, you can sit back there right now and say you wouldn't, but you'd be lying to yourself in a sense. Yeah. Because if somebody comes to you $1 million, hey, I want to see this happen, you know, there you go.
Absolutely. I mean, you couldn't say it any better, and that's what we're dealing with right now. That's what we're dealing with this promotion and this company coming out. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's just how they're promoting this match into making, you know, I guess the fans over there happy, but we'll just see what happens on the storylines over here in the States.
I mean, that's all we can do at this point.
I mean, if Seth Rollins wins, which I know he's going to, will that be the last time we see The Fiend versus Seth Rollins? I really hope so. Because it's time to get The Fiend away from the Seth Rollins storyline and starting to put him into a new light. And with him being drafted to SmackDown, that's what it's all about anyway.
Yeah, because it ain't going to make much sense him being, you know, drafted to SmackDown and still be appearing on Raw every week, messing with the same person over and over and over and over. Everybody, like I said, I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times more. When Roman Reigns was there every single week and all they ever talked about was Roman this and Roman that, like I said, I'm a big fan of Roman's. I don't take it away from him and stuff, you know, but seeing it every minute, it'll burn him out, I swear.
Well, it tells you of the product itself, because you're going to see the same superstar over and over and over again. It just, you know, and people go back to the draft and saying that this draft was one of the worst drafts in history because people who were already on Raw got drafted back to Raw. Back to what we said. If you don't know how the draft works, do not even commentate on this. And this is not even just the fans. This is actual big-name radio personalities that do podcasts like we do.
Yeah.
They're saying, oh, well, how could a superstar go back to Raw if they were already on Raw? They start out as free agents.
Yeah.
Every single one of them started out as free agents at the beginning of the night. It was predetermined on what roster they were going to already, I believe that. But from what we were seeing and what we were known from the screen, looking at it and watching it, you know, Monday night and Friday night, all those superstars, when that show started, were free agents. That have not been drafted yet. That's how the draft works. That's how it's always worked.
How could you broadcast about something you don't know nothing about?
And they're bigger than us, and they do the same shit we do.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
How could they be drafted somewhere if they're already there? Like you just said, once the draft hits, everybody at that point is a free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there's still drafting going on after the show goes off. There's still people being drafted to here, drafted to there after it goes off the air.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they were upset because Cesaro was, drafted because he was one of the last remaining ones.
Like this, and I don't understand why everybody is coming together all at once. Now they choose this time to get pissed off about everything and stuff. It does not make no sense at all because it's always worked this way. It's never been any different and stuff, and now people want to make it into a problem now.
The thing about it is, if you're a real wrestling fan, yes, the product's not the best it's been before, absolutely. But if you're a real wrestling fan, you're going to stick with this industry. You're going to stick with this company in particular. You're going to see how they're going to evolve and how they're going to grow. Because I promise you, they're going to fix things later on. They may have a lot of contracts they have to kind of appease before they do anything else creativity-wise. But the Fiend and Seth Rollins, this is probably going to be the last time we ever see that match happen for a very long time. I believe that. I hope that's what happens.
And I'm going to say this before we even stop this podcast. I mean, sit back and just let them people do what they do. Let WWE do what they do. They did not make it this far not knowing what the hell they're doing.
Exactly.
They did not make this big of a name for themselves not knowing what they were doing. They didn't make this whole federation or whatever stuff, this entertainment industry, they did not get this far not knowing what the hell they were doing. They had to, at some point, there was bad times, there's good times and stuff, but like I said, there's no way they got this far without knowing what they're doing. So right now, just bear with them and sit back and watch, because that's all we can do at this point.
And I'm going to be watching Crown Jewel, and we're going to be talking about Crown Jewel. We're going to be talking about Friday Night SmackDown. We're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about NXT. We're going to keep watching the product. If you don't like the product, don't watch it. It's very easy.
No, nobody ain't sitting there holding your gun.
No one is making anyone that doesn't like what's going on in wrestling now watch wrestling. If you want to watch it, then watch it. If you see something that you don't like, wait it out to see what they do with it. Don't turn into a keyboard warrior right when Monday Night Raw goes off and just go off on everything and anyone that's not moving about what is going on the product.
That's how a lot of them do.
And that's what WWE fans do. That's what they've always done. And my God, you can't please them. It's just back to the point where we all kind of started with this. It's the creative. It's what direction they're going to, with Eric Bischoff no longer being in that role, with Bruce Prichard now being in that role, with Paul Heyman still being in the role and hopefully staying in that role. That's what it comes down to. It comes out to the creative writing, what's going on in wrestling, and the storylines they're making these really talented superstars actually do. And if someone doesn't like it, then my God, it's World War III.
All because of one person's opinion.
All because of opinion, which is fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but sometimes your opinion is not right.
And a lot of it don't matter.
Exactly. To them, no. To us, no.
Like I said, I mean, yeah, you're paying your money to go see it and all this mess and stuff, but somebody just sitting back that never goes to a WWE event, never buys any merchandise, this, that, and the other day. You honestly think just because you turn it on your television or you turn it on your system that they're actually going to care what you think from that point on? They're still going to be millionaires fighting out there doing what they love doing and stuff, and you're still going to be sitting there running your mouth behind a keyboard.
Yep, that's the way it goes. It's real to me, damn it. That's what it all comes down to. My name is Johnny.
My name is Will.
And this is The Way In from HXC Wrestling Talk Show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell every time we upload a video. We'll see you guys later.